Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me to grow.
Welcome, my friends. How are y'all? I hope you're doing good. This is your host, Jamil, back again. So this episode, as you know, is part 2 of what can I do to market my book? What are some book promotion things that I think work after talking to so many authors, after interviewing so many people? These are the things that I think really work. In part 1, we went over 5 other great methods. In this part, I'm going to talk about some more things that you can do to market your book as you're putting together a strategy for your release and things to think about as you're trying to kind of make your book successful. Let's begin. So, number 1, bookstores. You want to make sure that you're reaching out to bookstores and libraries. Talk to them about like getting your book in their places. It's not something that has to be anything like too difficult, but independent bookstores are really good locations. A lot of towns, a lot of cities have independent bookstores. You can go on Google and just search for some. And I think the reason why I say this is because, and it's something that I've even had to struggle to do, is just reach out. Reach out. The worst they'll say is no. And if they do allow you to come in and they do allow your book to be there, sometimes they'll do events with you where they'll be like, oh, you can come, sit down, set up, and bring some extra books and see when people stop by, they can meet the author. You can do a sign-in and like a book signing and all this other stuff. And then you create a relationship with that bookstore. Definitely consider that, because now that we are moving into a world where we're a little bit more open and stuff like that, it makes a lot of sense to be able to go to bookstores and actually do some work there and connect directly with readers, because that ultimately that's what you want. And if you can make a few book sales there too, that'd be great. But definitely do that. And if you're having a release coming up and you have your book finished, that's a really cool place to start if you want to get some like art copies out as well. So work with some bookstores on getting some books and trying to move your books there too, because there's some all over the place, and all it really takes is setting up an email and then sending that email to all the bookstores that are in the locations and in your area, so that you can kind of connect, and that makes a big difference. Number two is a simple one, tried and true method. Even now, and something I continue to work on every single week, every single day, is build your newsletter. The importance of the newsletter. And when I first started, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was like, newsletters are stupid. I don't understand why people are doing newsletters. Newsletters don't make any sense. Like, it's so old. It's like snail mail. The importance of a newsletter is that you can reach out to all of your audience at any time. And you can't underestimate the value in that. No matter how many followers you get on Instagram or Twitter or your Facebook page, not everyone's going to see all the content that you post. Not everyone's going to get reached. So the important thing that you can do, and the way that you can make that difference, is actually have a newsletter that you control, a list of emails that you can send messages to at any time, to then see when your book's releasing, get updates when your book's coming out. That's going to be your base. So you want to make sure that you have the ability to control that. And that's what your newsletter can give you. So newsletter is the second biggest place. You want to funnel people to your website, which is why we talked about in a different video about having a website and making sure that you have that on your link tree. But like, you want to funnel people to your website so they can sign up for your newsletter. And then from your newsletter, you can contact them and reach out to your audience and different fans that are interested in the books that you're putting out. So definitely do that, because that's going to be a major key to your success long term if you want to just market and be able to at any time put together a Canva post with some new updates and then send out a sale on your book, or send out your book anytime. Like, you can do that with the newsletter. You really can't do that on social media the same way without paid ads. Number three is one that I'm stealing from some other authors that I've heard do it, and I thought it was just so cool. So what you can do is have a rollout of all of the different platforms for your book. So if you're like me, I've put my book out on Kindle, and I put my book out on paperback already. So when I'm looking at my hardcover book, my paperback book, right, I don't have a hardcover version yet. So what I do is plan to release my hardcover later, after the paperback's already been released. Same thing with audiobook. My first book, I released the audiobook and the paperback and the ebook all at the same time. That was cool. That was great. It did work out. But what I should have done and what I am doing for the second book is waiting to release the audiobook, and I'm waiting to release the hardcover book. The reason is you create more buzz about your book. You continue to generate dialogue on your book. You continue to have content to post later. So you don't have to post your hardcover and have it hidden behind your ebook, have it hidden behind your paperback. You can say, "Oh, just got the hardcover release, and the book's coming out in hardcover." Now you can just promote hardcover book, which then sends people to Amazon or sends people to Barnes and Nobles, and then they can see that you have the hardcover up, but they can also see your paperback, and they can also see your ebook, and that only promotes those other two also. So even if they clicked it on for the hardcover, if they say, "Well, the ebook's kind of cheaper, I might just get the ebook," you got that sale too. The second piece is right with the audiobook, it's the same exact thing. You create this buzz about now you have an audiobook version of that very same book. So even if you're somebody that already read it once, you might want to hear the audiobook version after. So now you have another platform to promote it. So now you have more content available, and it helps as far as release times and release schedules of your actual books. So if you're like me, I'm writing a series. So I'm waiting for the third book to come out, which means I'm writing the third book, getting it planned, and I might not have the third book out until the end of 2022. But I can release a hardcover book of the second, and I could release an audio book of the second in that in between time as my audience and my fans are waiting for that third book to come out. So that's a pro tip as far as what you can do to market and how you can kind of spread out the different platforms. Mind, audiobooks do cost extra money, but the hardcover is actually free to do now on KDP, and it's also free on Barnes and Nobles. So if you were gonna go and do a hardcover, you can have that be the third platform or the third type of book that you release, and you can wait to actually do that. Number four is simple, but it's do giveaways. You want to do some giveaways. You want to have a share contest. One of the big ways that you can promote your book is to get other people to promote it. One thing that I usually do, I'll ask people to share my post. I'll ask people to share my post to enter to win a free autograph sign book. You can do all types of stuff like that. So if you ask people to share your post and then they do, now you're reaching their audience, and it boosts up what the post, how many people are actually seeing the post. The more shares a post gets on Facebook, for instance, the bigger face audience that Facebook sends the post out to, because it feels like everyone should see this post because there's so much engagement. Same thing, same concept that you should be looking at as far as your promotional material goes. You should be looking at promoting things and getting more and more people to share and spread the word for you. And giveaways is a really good way to do that. Whether it's bundle packages, whether it's author signed copies, you can do some type of bundles and giveaways that get people to share your content so that more people can actually see it, so that more people are exposed to what you're doing. And that'll make a huge difference in the long term. And number five, and honestly, this is just is what it is. The best promotional tool of all of the tools that I've listed in this video and last video for marketing is your next book. If you're writing another book, you're gonna be able to promote your last book way better than anything else, because you can say, "I have two other books done, and I'm working on the third one right now." And as long as you're working on this third one, everyone's gonna feel like, "Whoa, I need to check the other two out because he's working on a third book." And then you could say that too. Like, I've had a lot of authors. I had an author friend. She was on her fourth book by the time I got to her third. Like, I got to her, she already had 3 books published, and she was working on the fourth and final book of her series. And it made me so interested in the first book, because I was like, "You're working on the last book already?" Not only was it just that, but it was knowing that her series was coming to an end, that can get a complete series, that made a huge difference. So you too, as an author, make sure that you're looking at your opportunities to kind of uh, write more, because then that'll promote your next book. That'll promote your last book. That'll promote all of your books, is that as long as you're having a catalog that keeps on expanding. So definitely don't underestimate that. And if you found any value in this episode, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, because it makes a huge difference. I keep saying this, but The algorithm really rewards people who have high engagement and have people that are actually supporting and following them. So please, I want to be able to share this content with as many people as possible. And I think that that's the best way to do it. And leave a comment on any other book promotional things that I didn't mention in the last couple of videos that you think really work, because I think we can all help each other grow as a community. And you already know what it is. Peace out.
Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me, there's more of me to grow. Creative in my process, enjoy the show. The will is different when you recognize the different strokes. Different folks, same goals, we all want the most. So when we reach the top, we can enjoy the toast. The type of bread we get is fresh about the bakery. Told them don't play with me, with or without a degree, don't question my intensity. Bravery, similar to agencies that want to see you fold. So just pray for me. Yeah, Einstein with my energy.